only with love can only heal. That's right. Love can only heal. Okay? It's not gonna do harm to you. When you love, it just make everything nice, beautiful, right? That's just how it is. That's what love is all about. It's the best thing on earth. Love. And I mean profound love, not just the selective love, right? You reserve this thing just for your favorite. Not like that. But just love humanity. Love with all your heart. Love life. Love people. Love all people in it. Right? Genuinely love them. And when you do that, it just heal you as a whole. So at least for me, it always does good to me. It never does me no harm for love. Even when I naively fall in love with, in terms of romance, with the wrong person, it backfired on me, but at the same time, whatever time I'm with that person is what kept me going, is what made it possible and made me happy. And when the separation, when the day come to be, it made me feel bad. And that's justifiable bad, because if you don't feel that bad, I mean, you was not really into that relationship the way you're supposed to be. So overall, love is a good thing, right? Love is a good thing. Hate, on the other hand, hate is a bad thing, but not always. You're supposed to hate the correct things, right? Not hate people because, for example, if you're a white person, you hate people because they're black, right? No, that's not good hate. That's evil hate, right? Because it's genocidal hate. You hate people because they're white. No, that's not a good hate. That's genocidal hate. You hate people because they're Muslim. No, that's not a good hate. But hate bad things like genocides, like supremacy, like people suffering, that stuff like that. That's the correct hate. I would never apologize for hate that is justifiable, right? No, and I think that people look at hate in the wrong way. The correct hate is the right correct hate. There is correct and incorrect hate, right? And also love. You can love the wrong thing. Love to kill people, for example. But that's not a good love. Love to see other people in suffering. That's not correct love. So you have to be thinking about these terms, what they mean and why, right? So you shouldn't be loving every bad thing. You should not love the bad thing. You should love the good things and hate the bad things, right? That's how I feel it. Anyway, good morning. Good morning. It's Monica, your friend Monica. Now today, I don't know, I'm thinking I'm gonna temporarily postpone the family drama. Just temporarily. It all depends. Depending how my family behave here. If they do something come into being, then I think it should be in display. I will quickly add the episode. Today is gonna be episode I think it's gonna be episode 27, right? So there's 27 episodes. So I will just keep adding those episodes depending what happened, right? Because if my family keep demonstrating themselves that these behaviors I've been complaining about need to come back, because I just think they're useful, not just for them. Not really. It may not. I don't know if they even watch these videos, if they care to know how I think. But it may be, other people out there who will consider. Because I do think, like, the problem we have right now, for example, speaking of the family, and that brings me to what happened in the world today. Let's start with what happened in the world today. As you know, there's a war that's about to start. U.S. about to invade, attack Iran. All right, Iran. Okay. So that's what U.S. doing that. Now, a lot of people have this idea that the U.S. state, the government, right, is different than the people, right? Although we do see the polls that say that overall people in U.S. does not support some of these wars anymore and this and this and that. That's what they say. But the spirit within the American people, they support these barbaric wars. They do. And people who have this fallacy, the American people are markedly different than this, the government, are naive. They're naive or stupid, or they don't know American people. Believe me, I live in this country and I know who we're dealing with, okay? I know them intimately because I live here. I've been living here since 1995. So you damn right, American people are a reflection of the state. All right? And that's really stupid to think otherwise, okay? It really is. Because if American people were not, U.S. derive their power from the governed, okay? And the governed is the people, okay? So American people, as a people, are supremacists, are exceptionalists, right? They believe ideas that God manifests destiny. The special human being, they're proud of their America. That's why they have, like my mother-in-law with the bag, land of the free, home of the home of the brave. Any rock whatsoever go. That's what these singers talk about, how perfect, awesome, and wonderful humans they are. So let's not be naive who American people are, okay? Let's just be honest, and that's why I'm profiling this family, because that's American people here. There's a microscope of American people. That's how they think, that's how they feel, you know. And if you watched the episode yesterday, you will see what I say about Henry there, right? So, we have to understand that American people support these genocides, okay? I don't care what anybody says. They support these warfares, which U.S. been overthrowing states after state since 2003, and that's me being conscious. Me being like aware of what's going on. Like not somebody I read in a book. I'm not even talking about anything before 2003, right? And literally they came out and say they're gonna do that. They're gonna overthrow 7 countries, right? When you hear the commentators on TV or they're just talking about that's a normal thing. Oh, we just gonna go in Iran and destroy that country, even though it has 92 million people. They don't care about those 92 million people inside that country. They don't care. They just don't care. Okay? So for me, I don't look at like this is just different between the political. It's the American people, okay? Because if the American people would have revolt against this barbaric imperial agenda, this shit would have been transformed a long time ago. But they haven't done so, okay? They have not done so. They're comfortable in their fucking 3-car garages or whatever the fuck, right? There is American people support all kinds of shit. They support on starving poor people, right? They stigmatize people on food stamp. American people, some white women, average white women would be like, hey, we don't want to give healthcare to quote unquote illegal migrants. That's anti-human, by the way. When you don't want to deprive healthcare to human beings, and then you try and get the justification because the illegal migrant, okay, they may be illegal, but they're still human, bitch, right? So I am here to say that, hey, no, I am not going to overlook this American people, and I don't have separation between the state, the government, and the people because they're one and the same. Right? That's how I see it. American people voted for Donald Trump, a racist, rapist, piece of garbage. Okay? That's what American people did, not one time, but twice. Okay? I say American people did that. American people are the one who voted for Marco Rubio as a senator in Florida. Now he's the Secretary of State saying that he's gonna reinforce colonization to the whole globe. Okay? So hey, no, I don't care. American. I'm not excusing American people, and I don't give a fuck about American people, because you know what I need them to do is be moral, have morals, have sense of shit, okay? And not try to pretend. And you know what? And it used to be, that at least black folk, right, will rebel against this shit. Even though if you read Nicole Hannah-Jones in the New York Times article she recently published, I didn't bother sharing about a piece of garbage, because I'm like, you trying to excuse black folks, but black folks I started to be on board with this shit, right? Ever since the Barack Obama, now they feel like they need to be on board with the America agenda and shit, even though American agenda is genocidal and anti-humans on earth. No, I'm not excusing even them, okay? I'm not excusing any American people. People who support this shit, they still go and register and vote it. When you do that, you're legitimizing this evil entity that's destroying the earth. And frankly, now how emboldened they are and they're supremacist and they're arrogant, we don't know what's gonna happen here, but this can come and bite them in the ass, okay? And maybe they at that point they will wake up and, oh, we're not just special people, exceptional people. We just people like the rest of the planet, and this shit is went off the rails. And maybe when it affects you personally, that's where you'll have some sympathy for Somali people who live on the bombardment or U.S. state every day, right? Maybe that will wake them up, right? Because when you live comfortable in your garbage 3-car garage house, and you have the American bag you can take out of hospital, maybe you don't care. So that's how I feel about this, right? That's just how I feel about it. But anyway, going by finishing what happened in the world, the bottom line is this. I'm just sitting back every day, going on Twitter, trying to read what they're saying about what's about to happen by Iran, an ancient civilization, a country that goes thousands of years. And according to white supremacists, they want to destroy this country, make it a multiple non-states. They want to make it a non-Iran because Iran is too powerful. So they need to do that, right? That's what they want to do, right? And that's what American people support. That's what they want, right? And I read something, actually, I'm going to read this for he resigned. Gray Mohiber, Gray Mohiber. He used to be a United Nations human rights something. He was at a United Nations where he had to resign after he noticed that white folk, the white degenerates, white countries are trying to exterminate indigenous people of Palestine to do what they did to U.S., right? So he decided he don't want to participate, so he resigned from his post at the United Nations at the beginning of the genocide. But I'm gonna read a tweet that he tweeted yesterday, okay? Oh no, not yesterday, on February 18th. I'm gonna quote it in entirety. This is what he said, quote, Donald Trump's so-called border peace is scheduled to meet tomorrow and is literally a criminal conspiracy created by two conspirators, U.S. and Israel regime, involved in a raft of grave international crimes, including genocide, apartheid, unlawful occupation, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and land theft. The purpose of the conspiracy is to complete the final phase of the genocide and ethnic cleansing of the indigenous population, to consolidate the unlawful occupation, to steal the land, and to personally profit from the illicit proceeds of these crimes. Every individual that joined the conspiracy and any of the constituents part, it is a participant in these crimes and should be subjected to individual criminal responsibility, political accountability, and public shaming wherever they appear. And in any event, their personal legacy will certainly carry the stain of complicity for generations. close quote. And then he has that shame. Okay? That's what Mr. Mohaibo said about this orange degenerate animal that white folks imposed on us and told us that quote unquote he was a beast, whatever the fuck that means, right? This ignorant 19th century rapist, worthless, and now the shit he's doing here, right? So that's it. That's what this is about, okay? And it starts off with a family like this, the Augustine family, a racist white family that appear to be a normal family when in fact they're not. They're just a covert, well-adjusted racists, okay? Well-adjusted white supremacists, settlers, right? And we need to disrupt that. We need to contest that. We need to point that out, especially when they exhibit the habits that I've been demonstrating through the course of these family dramas, right? And with that, we actually bring it to the family drama. Now, yesterday, if you watched the episode, which many of you did not watch, you will see that at this point, I did everything. I basically, I started off with a lot of admiration and respect for my mother-in-law, right? Because she's really the culprit of this whole saga, right? She is really the principal, and everything runs through her, right? That's just her. She is the, I don't know, the conspirator, whatever you can. She's the center of all this stuff. She really is, right? For one, she's the matriarch of this family. Now, I'm a mother of 4 kids, but I'm not a matriarch. I love my kids to death, and my kids love me, but I don't control my kids like that. I don't believe in controlling people like that. I believe respect. My kids ask me something, I'll tell them. I give them advice and shit like that, but I just don't control. I don't know day-to-day what my kids done. Sometimes they call me, sometimes they don't. My kids are just independent like me, right? But this woman, it seems like she's more involved with her children, right? She's a matriarch. And I don't think it's anything wrong with matriarch. But is it everything wrong when you're not preserving, right, boundaries? That's where it become a problem for me, right? So now yesterday, I basically say, I took you to the ICU unit, really, where she was. And I told you what transpired in the ICU unit, right? And I culminated that, if you're paying attention, that basically, that's it. That was, whatever that is that she needed, if she is in the process of, quote unquote, out of here, and she needed to, extract from my husband or her children or whatever. With respect to my husband, that was it. That's what, that whatever that is, and the next time when she in that same position, she just need to recalibrate that or something, because that's it though. That's it. That's what my husband gave her there. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go yesterday and watch that episode, right? But that's what I say about this. Now, today I want to say this before I go forward, is that obviously this is a family, this is my husband's family, and it's obviously we are odds here. We have problems, right? And I have make it known. And I'm not trying to be especially when in families, most of the time you just shut your mouth even though you may feel uncomfortable about stuff, because it may rock the boat, so to speak, right? I don't care about rocking the boat, right? Because it's just, I'm not interested. I have tried to not rock the boat, right? Obviously, for a long time here, I did not rock the boat. I hold back, right? For once, it's just not my disposition. I'm not a kind of person that just rock the boat right away. I try to make sure I understand what's going on first, right? I try to get the feel, so to speak, right? I do. I do get the feel, just to make sure I'm not misunderstanding. And once I get what's going on, then I'm able to exert my understanding of things. It's just like that. But for some people, they would just say for the, and I see some white philosopher would say this. Well, you know what? You should not just be like that because that's how. In order to maintain peace, you just have to. Okay, you slave. It's easy for him to say that these white philosophers. Oh, because they're not the slave, right? So the slave just need to shut the fuck up and take it because that will preserve the peace. So the slave master can do whatever, right? And you, the slave, need to shut the fuck up because that will preserve peace, right? It's just like the same barbaric garbage we hear about Palestine. It's like, well, the Palestinians rebel on October 7th, and that's why they deserve the genocide. Like, what? We can romanticize with these folks. We can romanticize with primitive, self-serving people. We have to be honest about them and talk about them the way we're supposed to. Because, hey, to the extent that we know they're human like us, we need to make sure they understand that, hey, no, that's not how it goes. You're not entitled to everything. We abuse, and then the other guy's just gonna take it. No, you're entitled to respect, and you're trying to come to consensus, right? You don't have the right to abuse. None whatsoever. You are entitled not to be abused, right? The oppressed people, we entitled not to be abused. They're not entitled to abuse. And they get that confused that they have the freedom because they have the freedom to kill, exterminate, do what have you, and don't pay a price for it. They don't go to jail. As we can see with the Epstein files, it have exposed these ruling fascists, these vile, despicable people. They're not in prison. They are not. They still rule. They're still the president of the U.S. They still rule all the. They still official. Nothing. Not politically. Not socially. Not. They are not paying any price. They're not in prison. They're not. If it was a regular person, they would have knocked the door and get them out of there and hang up. But not them though. They're not. It's just like, and we're supposed to feel like this is a civilized shit like that. Criminals, dogs, who literally rape babies and kill babies to eat. Like that's what we dealing with. And for the white folk, they're just gonna be like, it's as if it's like, no, they don't even wanna. And then I saw some people like they said, well, God gonna deal with them. Like, what? This is not a sky. This is planet Earth. We supposed to be governed by laws and rules and shit. These are men. We supposed to deal with people when they abuse. That they don't say that when a black guy stole something or killed somebody. They don't say that. That's not what WGN show us. Those black people in the ghetto. That's not what he showed us. This is like, they go over there now, get them arrested and put a mask shot and humiliate them and all that stuff, right? I like to see that with the ruling classes, right? I want to see them in my shot and stuff. And now they're going to give us these, like, for example, what I see today, Prince Andrew, that nobody knows, right? Now they're trying to make, like, Prince Andrew is not Prince, it's not like the king now. He used to be Prince Charles, right? That's a famous Princess Diana. That's not him. They're trying to the obscure prince that nobody even know about and trying to make him, oh yeah, there's accountability and we're supposed to go in through that shit. I don't buy it. I do not buy it because it's all psyop and fake, right? No, the bottom line is people who run these institutions are on this shit, all of them, including the major universities, every facet of life, who is on this fucking shit to continue these perpetual barbaric wars, right? For other aims or just being vile, and they want to prove to the world like, hey, look what we can do and get away with, right? Because hey, who's gonna come in? Like you think Kas Patel, the Hindu American, the worthless space is gonna attack them? No, he's not. In fact, it's so disgusting to me. They should have put a white man there who may take a little bit of authority or some shit. They put a Kas Patel who has no legitimacy in a white supremacist country, and they're gonna put this man there who have no power really. and has no morals. It's like worthless, right? Like what can Gas Patel? Like seriously, are you taking him seriously? I don't think anybody does. The only thing is that he's a cheerleader for white supremacy, and for that we have everything. We don't need people like white supremacy. That's all he is, a cheerleader. But that's not a hard job to do, right? You think like us, like I mean, I this is my opinion. In this country, in a very important positions, I need white folk on this position because my inclination is this: white people have a bit of autonomy. If they really don't like, they can say, you know what, fuck this shit. We done here, and we do something about it. But when you be a garbage like Cas Patel, right, who just gonna cheerleader and shit, they don't have autonomy. They don't. These are token white supremacists. They cheerleader. They pathetic. I don't believe that. That's why what's her name? Nicole Hannah Jones at the New York Times, she blocked me on Twitter years ago because I'm like, fuck you, you full of shit. Because you want to tell us they can do something when they can't. This is symbolic. It's symbol, okay? It's a way to sanitize white supremacy, right? But anyway, going back to the family play here. This is the thing. I have as you can see, this is a family. It looked like things are not good. And my husband was laughing at me. He said, "Good job. I think you have gotten me excommunicated and stuff." That's what my husband said. I'm like, oh, I think you got yourself excommunicated when you got with a woman of color. That's just how I feel about it. You know. That's the moment that he did that and married me, especially. Maybe when I was a girlfriend, he wasn't excommunicated, but as soon as he did that, he was excommunicated. And so, hey, that's a price you gotta pay for being your hot mamacita brownie. So it is what it is. But at the same time, if they want to change this, they just have to I don't know. I'm not gonna tell them what to do, but this is how I see things, and I'm trying to give them credit when I feel like they deserve credit, and I'm trying to illustrate in places where I'm objective. And if you notice, the theme through this family play has been about the fact that my husband has two daughters, Emily and Lacey, also known as David's daughters. And he was living in this house with them, and a shadow, the illusion of a nuclear family here. And I have spoken about the shadow. And I mean, talking about the shadow is super uncomfortable for me. I don't like doing that. But I did the best I can do, and if I had to do it again, I do what I have to do. But I don't really like talking about it because it seemed a bit too much. But I have spoken about the shadow and what I think of her. She is just like what I think about her is just like, in my opinion, I think that I respect her, right? I respect her. But the thing is this, I feel like she didn't have I don't know how it's kind of hard for me to say that the shadow should have postponed this, or if she would have a different lab, maybe she would have like the men I've been saying, like Dr. Kelly's father, or somebody like my dad, or some the good fathers. I think she would have the bad father, so to speak. She would have had opportunity, like to reconstitute herself and do something that would have different outcomes, right? That's what I think about the shadow, right? There's That's just how I feel like that. Like women like that or women in that circumstances. And I know because I actually know some of my people I follow on Facebook, women who have, I would say, may have issues, and they're single mom. Okay, they're single mom, and it look like they do well. They get well or something, and life goes on, right? There's kind of women that the right wingers talk shit about, right? Single mom, right, and stuff like that. And sometimes eventually they could get remarried and shit like that. I think that's possible. But the shadow, uh, uh, in a way, she got lucky because she met my husband, who is a good husband and a good father, you know. But obviously, I don't know how well that is. You know, for me it's good because my husband is a good husband to me, you know, and that's good. But I don't have issues, right? I don't have issues, so no, I think my mother-in-law would disagree with that. I think she's like, you don't have an issue. You have issues. Like yesterday, if you remember, I said that I'm black, and now I'm not just black. I'm black to the max, right? And she may think that's issues, but anyway, I hope you follow what I said, right? So that's we talk about the shadow, and then the thing for these people, this family, is the concern for the girls, right? And I have demonstrated multiple ways through these episodes, like, you know, why I think that they should be concerned. I mean, I don't think they should be concerned. They're not starving. They're not adults. They're not like children in Latin America who have to cross borders and try to come to U.S. to be indentured servitude. That's not what happened to these kids, right? These illegal, they hate. These kids don't have that issue, right? Then the black kid in the South Side who had to survive on stealing food because he don't have enough food to eat at home, right? They don't even know what stealing is, right? I demonstrated in multiple ways why this shouldn't work. And then we spoke about the fact that they think they're being alienated. And I'll say, like, well, I don't see that as an alienation. I just see that as part of life. Kids supposed to be raised by their parent, grow up, and be independent. That's not an alienation. That's life, right? I demonstrated that. And then what else we spoke about? Oh, and then as for the hospital thing, they didn't want me to go in a hospital. They deprived me of going to the ICU unit with my husband. I basically, that's what started the whole thing. And my husband, in one of the episodes, I mentioned that my husband did not believe Christine because Christine told us that is the Jean, the principal character, the major of the Augustine family, my mother-in-law. She's the one who made that decision, and my husband said she didn't believe her, and she called her a liar. And I demonstrated why that I don't think Christine is lying. I think she's telling the truth, and I demonstrated multiple evidence why that is the case. And then I also talk about how that may have been communicated, and I ponder or proponent. I proposed or something. I don't even know how to say this. That was communicated to those power attorneys' papers, right? I say that, and then I say, like, I hope that my mother-in-law give me that legacy, because to me that is like, that's awesome. Like, I mean, just the thought alone is so awesome to me. Like, he's gonna literally put in those power attorney paper that, hey, if I'm ever in a hospital, ICU or otherwise, I do not want Monica, Augustine, the Brownie, the savage animal to come anywhere near me. Right? I suspect, I suspected that that's what she did with that. And I'm just saying, I hope that's the case. Because I like to fantasize that in the future when it's time that somebody can get the freedom of information at order. They can say, let's see what those Bible attorney papers say about the villain, the leftist, the brownie, and the narrator, and ultimately David's wife, what Jean Augustine put on those papers, right? And I just love that they would see that and put them in a book. They're writing, and then they're gonna put a picture like a vignette on a book and shit like that. That's my kind of golden stuff. You can tell I love literature and I love shit like that. So I'm just like, I hope she did that. I don't know if she did that or not, but that's what it is. I was going with that on multiple episode. And another thing that I did is I demonstrated through my mother's in-law behavior what drives her. What drives her is capital relations, right? It's capital relations. I demonstrated a lot of episode why that is, because the behavior of minor character when he gave my husband that phone call about my husband writing something in the paper, stamp, court, some, like stuff like that, right? So I said that germinated from her. I also spoke about why Christine, the power attorney, she was so what I would consider belligerent when she prevented me from going to the IC unit, right, with my husband, right? And I also spoke about her, why she would be enthusiastic about doing that. I also spoke about Henry, including yesterday. I was a little more critical, slightly character yesterday from Henry, and how I thought that he acted like in good faith a little bit with me here, even though not very, well, but he did something, a little bit of karmas that made me feel a little better, right? I also spoke about Henry. And then I spoke about the minor character, and why he, the way he behaved with his ex-wife, therefore he felt the need to call my husband and shit. And then I said that, well, the way he need to look at it, like in terms of his richness, his wealth, what goes through his ex-wife, like he should look at it as his legacy, his personal legacy, and to the future, right? Like, if you are helping your ex-wife and her children, that you should be proud of that, just like you would your own DNA and what have you, right? I spoke about that. Right, so the minor character, and then I spoke about how the minor character, like these profound, deep-seated racist attitudes, why that is, right? I don't think they're just bad people and they want to be racist and shit like that. I demonstrated through their socialization why is it that there's really nobody else other than white folk, right? And as a result, it creates different kind of sentiment, and those sentiments lead to what we have in the case of Venezuela, where they had to make a choice, either dignity or annihilation, because for white folk here, they don't think that Venezuela, because for them, the state can do whatever with people who not like them, because it's not like them who had to make that decision, right? So I was saying that when all you ever know is this whiteness, even though you yourself are literally profiting from the suffering of those people, right? It's not like the individual you the bad. It's just the acculturation thing. It's almost like drinking water, right? So I spoke about that. And then what else I spoke about? Yeah, so I spoke about a lot of things, right? This family play has I have bring to four. Oh, and then I spoke about my own daughter, Pilarina, right? On her approach, right? Um, now I want people to watch that episode. By the way, that's the one I spoke about my daughter Pilarina. It's the episode 16. Okay, it's a great episode. I spoke about my daughter Pilarina. Um, in that episode, I talks about how my young daughter she approached this issue, the chasm we have, where we consider black neighborhoods or black people or black neighborhood what they call dangerous criminals and stuff. We consider like literally like garbage. It's not just like it's garbage inside these neighborhoods. It's like everything in the neighborhood is disposable. It's considered like garbage, right? And I demonstrated through my daughter's experience, her life, like how she had multiple options because she was going to selective enrollment, which are overly populated by the uppity, okay, the cream of the crop. And she managed to find a few children within this sea of uppity, the most marginalized, the poorest people, the poorest black children, befriend them. And she was really hanging out in these neighborhoods the whole time she was in high school, right? And I thought that as my daughter was teaching the world in her small way, how we should treat people, irrespective of who we should reconsider that, right? That episode was heavily, it was suppressed on Facebook. Like literally, the monitors of Facebook wasn't having it. I saw the drastic where I get my regular over 100 viewers a day. They suppressed that shit to 20. Literally, they didn't want people to see that episode for whatever reason, right? I mean, I spoke about other things in that episode, like how they trying to convert Cuba to something like Cancun, Mexico, and shit like that. So I don't know what made them like, fuck it, we don't need this shit out there. So I spoke about that's episode 16 on YouTube. So I just and when I say that about my daughter, I was saying that if for example, minor character Tom, if he would have my daughter's sentiment, he would not feel that way, that UK now has sizable amount of people of color. He's not going to consider people of color just as criminals, therefore she won't be going to vacation in UK, right? That, because to me, if you think about it, that's extremely irrational thinking. You literally, UK is one of the empire of the whole planet. You think that UK is a place you need to be. If you had to be afraid to go on vacation in UK because it now has quote unquote crime, where can you feel safe? Where can you go? That is extremely irrational. That's a level of racism worse than KKK member who just don't want you to sleep with a black woman. Okay? That's disturbing to me, right? And then I demonstrated why he feels that way, because he's surrounded with people he feel comfortable. He had never went to a black neighborhood where it's crime and buy him a chicken sandwich or some shit. He never done that. He don't know how black people live. He see them on TV. He doesn't care about black folk, right? And I was saying that they need to get out of the horses with the chicken with Karen there and go to black neighborhoods like my daughter did. And they will see that, hey, it's just people. It's just people going to church. It's just regular people. People live in these neighborhoods. That's not just criminals who live there. It's literally families. People live there. They're not trash. They're not disposable. They're your fellow citizens. They're supposed to have the same rights as you, white man, Mr. Tom, right? So I say that through this family. So I say a lot of things, okay? Now, saying all that. All I'm saying is this. There's really not much that I wanted to say, that I need to say about this family. It really isn't. I've said most of the things I wanted to say about this family. I've demonstrated. Now, I'm calling them racist, not because they wish black people could be exterminated from Earth or anything like that. No, that's why. But I'm calling them racist because they hold pervasive anti-human ideas, okay? The idea that people who are different than them in skin tone here, or from a different country or something, or different lifestyle, is something to be afraid of, something to discard, something to distance yourself from, right? That's why I'm calling them racist. And those are the white folk we need to try to talk to and be honest with them instead of trying to just act like this. They like, like that's just a normal behavior. It's not normal behavior. It's not normal behavior. The bottom line is this. People of color, we are oppressed. We do not have the power that white folks have. They have power over us. They have power as right now we see with Palestinians that Donald Trump, the person these white folks voted for, is telling Palestinian people they exterminated them and take over their land. All right? That's what they're doing in Palestine right now. If they have the power to do that to Palestine, they have the power to do that to Africa and to Latin America or to any place. That's the level of power these white folks have. Right? And it starts with a family like this. Because you know what? For Tom to feel safe, black people need to be removed from UK. Dark-skinned people need to be removed from UK. Now he feels safe, he can go vacation there. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. For my mother-in-law in this case, she says she got the land of the free. Why is the land of the free? A land that was exterminated by natives that she occupied. That's the land of the free because there's no longer enough natives that she could be afraid about. Right? In the case of my mother-in-law, she doesn't give a fuck about my children, but she cares about her 2 white grandchildren. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to demonstrate through facts how white people behave in U.S. Okay? Not just when they're comfortable and you see them on TV and they look good like Megyn Kelly with lipstick and shit, but when they are actually their behavior in real life. Right? So if you don't want genocide, if you don't want black people to go back to slavery, if you don't want them to go in Venezuela and steal the resources, and now the black indigenous people who are in the margin now go back to the margins, we need to confront white folk for how they really are. And if I had to demonstrate that through this family, that's what I had to do. As far as I'm concerned, I am a voiceless woman of color here, and I can only demonstrate like Aristotle said. You can only speak the things that enter through your experience. All right? That's what Aristotle, the Western civilization thinker, said. Okay? So I'm just mimicking what my Western civilization white men say. Okay? I'm only demonstrating through things that enter through my experience here. And I'm only asking white folk to reconsider all their things, how they view others, right? And let's not, and really, this is the point I want people to take home. Abandon this idea that the regular people in U.S. are different than the government. They're not. That is not. In terms of how they treat women and children, the FBI shows that it's the same thing the ruling class does. These people do the same thing. They're not different. They are the same. Because they all worship the same idea. Idea of white supremacy. Idea of exceptionalism. Idea of conquest. Look at what Marco Rubio said aloud. That Marco Rubio had a bunch of people on his door and said, fuck out of here. No, he is being glorified in every newspaper. He's being glorified. The press is all happy because now they're back with the Europeans as a friend so they can colonize the rest of us. Now, they had a little bit of squirmers because They wanted to colonize Greenland, not anymore, because now they're back in a group so they can exterminate the brutes, okay? The black and the brown other, right? So what I'm saying is this: I don't separate them. I see them all the same. They're racist, okay? That's the bottom line. They're fucking racist. And as long as they're racist and demonstrate that they hate people of color, I'm going to talk about it. I'm just going to talk about it. So for now, I'm going to go back to doing things that I actually like doing, like reading Dr. Parenti, trying to understand what Dr. Parenti is saying in these books. We're going to go back to Dr. Walter Rodney, see what Dr. Rodney had to say. We'll read Dr. Fanon. We'll read other thinkers who actually love humanity and want something better, something different, something that doesn't require genocide, something that doesn't require extermination of people so people can feel safe. All right? I'm going to go do by that. Now, but if their family, whatever they come up with, that thing need to be back in display, be back in the play. You best believe. And I do want to thank people. I have seen that my videos are picking up, especially some videos are picking up steam, and I appreciate that. And I'm happy you're giving me a hearing. I hope you're fair with me, okay? I am, because we all can do is just talk about how we see things, right? We just have to we cannot be quiet about, we're in a world right now where the vast majority of world population have been reduced to this creature, right? That is alive, but it's only alive because white people go decide if they want to be alive or not, right? And I don't think that's the way of being alive. I believe in being free and have dignity, right? Now, all human beings, we are dignified and are respected in this world. That's what I want. Not just white folks, okay? But all human beings. Our humans should be treated as like that, right? I want us to go back to that. And how we can do that? By confronting white folk. Because they're the one with the power, right? Now, some people is like, well, I don't know how the way you can do this. But I think that the people with the weapon in their hand is the one we need to confront, because you know what? We need to know how we can knock that weapon out of their hand, right? Because you know what? This is the thing. What's power? What is power? What do you think power is? Is power like, it's like a thing like you pick up like my phone and stuff? Is that what a power is? No. Power is what you think the person has. That's power, right? And if what you think about them and what themselves think. For example, white folk have the power to say, if they want to see something happen in the world, they want to exterminate Palestinians, for example, they can do it. They can do it. They have that power. Like, if people color want to do something that we can't, we just can't. We cannot discriminate white folk. We don't have the ability to do that to them. There's a lot of things we can't do. We can cry about it, but it's not happening because we have no power to do that. Right? Now, what can we do to prevent white folk to having that thing that they can do that shit? And it starts out by delegitimizing them. Exposing them, like I demonstrated, they just primitive, right? They're limited. And it's through acculturation and other things, right? And not just trying to pretend like, oh, they're good people, law-abiding citizen, go to church and shit. There's none of that shit. Because black folks do that, but black folks can't do that. Black folks go to church, but they cannot do this shit, right? So, that's what power is. We need to diminish the power that white folks have over our mind and they have over this world, okay? Where they have the freedom to do whatever they want, even though it's harmful to human species. We need to do that, right? Where they can impose garbage like Donald Trump on us, dehumanizing us, and it started off with him questioning Barack Obama's birth certificate. That's why this orange wasted space started off. Questioning another citizen birth certificate. Like, who the fuck is he to question that? and black white folk ate it up. And he now the king of the planet Earth. That is unacceptable, B. That's unacceptable. That means we slave. When white folks still have that much power over us. We slave. We slave. We need to learn how to break our chains. And it starts off by exposing it. And with that, we go to Dr. Parenti. Now, yesterday we read the Eholete Science, right? It was so good. If you don't go back to yesterday, it was so good, Dr. Brett. I mean, this whole book is awesome. and he just told us why Marxism is useful, right? What Marxism make us understand, right? And how white supremacy, or how capitalism uses all these things, racism, all that stuff, they use this for the capital owners, right? And how capitalism is really very rational. That's what people think that capitalism is irrational, but it's not. It's very rational. It's rational because the only concern they have is the accumulation of capital. It does not care about society. It does not care about people. It does not care about anything. Only thing it cares about accumulation of power, profit, which give the capital owners power. Right? That's the whole thing. And we don't need a system like that, because we need a system that considered life, respect life. For example, Dr. Parenti give us, he talks about in this lecture he gave in 1990, how, for example, Firestone, this the tire company, went in dumb waste into a river that Mother Nature took about millions of years to make beautiful. Now he dumped the set, now destroyed something that took Mother Nature a millions of years. Now he destroyed in one afternoon, right? So that's what capitalism is. They have, it's because they don't respect. It does not consider anything other than profit. That's capitalism. And if it does that, the shareholders will sue. Like if you have, no CEO can be good even if they want to, because the shareholders will rise up like, no, we don't give a fuck about that. We here give a fuck about having profit. So my mother-in-law have money in her portfolio to leave her grandkids. That's what a shareholder cares about. They don't care about preserving this river for their generations to come. It's not important, because what's important now is they can give money to their family so they can keep staying white supremacist powerful into perpetuity, even though at the expense of the planet that's supposed to inhabit the rest of us, right? So that's what capitalism is. So that's what we spoke about yesterday. Go read that section. It's really good. Today we're going to pick up in a new section called Learning to Ask Why. Okay? Exactly. That sounds like my cup of tea. When we think without Marx perspective, that is without considering class interests and class power, we seldom ask why certain things happen. Many things are reportedly in news, but few are explained. A little is said about how the social order is organized and whose interests prevail. The vow of a framework that explains why things happen, we are left to see the world as do mainstream media pundits, as a flow of events, a scatter of particular development and personality unrelated to a larger set of social relations, propelled by happenstance or circumstances, confusing the intentions and individual ambition, never by a powerful class interest, and yet producing effects that serve such interests with impressive regularity. Thus, we fail to associate social problems with the socio-economic forces that create them, and we learn to truncate our own critical thinking. Imagine if we attempted something different. For example, if we try to explain that wealth and power exist together, not an accidental just supposing, but because wealth causes poverty. and an inevitable outcome of economic exploitation, both at home and abroad. How could such an analysis gain any exposure in the capitalist media or in the mainstream political life? Suppose we start with particular story about how child labor in Indonesia is contracted by multinational corporations at near starvation wage levels. And by the way, speaking of Indonesia, Indonesia is a Muslim country, and they've been really against the Palestine genocide. And let me tell you how white supremacists and white degenerates in Washington, D.C. operate, and how white colonizers operate. They have forced Indonesia to participate in the sham and the evil so-called border peace to steal Palestine, exterminate Palestinians, to say that Indonesia now participate on the shit by force, by duress. Because US have told Indonesia, if you don't, we will cripple you, right? And Indonesia, who has already have flagrant economy, what is Indonesia now? We have a genocide in Palestine now. Indonesia gonna go to another genocide? You know, think about, this is the power the white folks have. And it comes from a family like this. That's who gave these orange garbage in the Republican Party. The Republican Party is so racist and so disgusting, it should not even exist in a civilized world. These fascist settlers should be outlawed, but they have all the power in this country. In fact, Democrats are that's what they do. They do to give them more and more and more power. They don't even want to challenge that fucking power because, hey, that makes them wealthy too. It's disgusting. It is disgusting. And that's what I'm talking about, okay? That's what I'm talking about. They literally, so even if you want to be good, you hate genocide. You can't do. Now they have to participate in the crime. But let's keep going. This information probably will not be carried in right-wing publication, but in 1996, it is appear after decades of effort by some activists in the centrist mainstream press. What if we then cross a line and said that these exploitative employer relations were backed by full might of the Indonesian military government? Few media will carry this story, but it still might get mentioned in the inside page of the New York Times or the Washington Post. Exactly. Now, like I said, when you read the New York Times or the Washington Post, they might occasionally say the truth, but you do have to go in the middle of this. Like, they have multiple pages or they bore you with a bunch of bullshit, you know, because they don't want you to get to the truth, right? You have to read the whole shit. And then within that, you may pick up something. And then you highlight it. Now, for Dr. Parenti, he has patience, right? He is a reader, literally, right? He is a voracious reader. The rest of us, we don't have the time. We have 4 jobs to attend to. We're not going to read the New York Times into the 17 page in the middle of this page. No, we're going to read the headline. Oh, what happened? Oh, the Palestinians are terrorists. Okay, that's all. Okay, good. And then I'm gone. That's it. That's it. And then we think we got the story. Right? Oh, the Hamas is a terrorist. Those are rapists. That's what the white degenerate is going to say. And then you're just going to take it as fact. Even though Israel is a pedophile country. But let's keep going. Then suppose we cross another line and said that these repressive arrangements will not prevail were it not for generous military say from the United States. And that for almost 30 years, the homicidal Indonesian military has been financed, advised, and trained by the U.S. National Security State. Such a story will be even more unlikely to appear in the liberal press, but it is still issue-specific and safety without an overall class analysis. So it might well make it way into the liberal opinion publication like The Nation and The Progressive. Now, suppose we point out that the conditions found in Indonesia, the heartless economic exploitation, brutal military repression, and lavish U.S. support exist in scores of other countries. Suppose we then cross that most serious line of all, and instead of just deploring this fact, we also ask why successive U.S. administration involved themselves in such unsavory pursuit through the world, and what if then we try to explain that the whole phenomenon is consistent with the U.S. Dedication to making the world safe for the free market and the giant multinational corporations, and that the intended goal are A, to maximize opportunities to accumulate wealth by depressing the wages levels of workers throughout the world and preventing them from organizing on behalf of their own interests, and B, to protect the overall global system of free market capital accumulation. Exactly. All right, that's the only thing U.S. state is about. It's just about to make sure the military might, right, to make sure these corporations could rape worse people and land as they see fit, right? Like literally, that's it. That's why they have these thousands of bases. That's what is. That's it. Yeah, my mother-in-law can think in a line of the free and shit. It's about patriotic. No, it's not about that. It's about making sure U.S. is a capitalist state. That's what it is. That's it. It's a settler colony. And the reason why they came here to make it big. And they're making it big. Now, not just because of place they stole, but what they do with the rest of the planet. That's what these degenerate white folks are about. Right? That's it. And if you don't know that, you don't know shit. That's why we had to read Dr. Parenti. Because he's not holding back. He's telling out the facts. That's it. And as long as we have this shit called capitalism, there will never be peace for people. As you can see with Lindsey Graham, this disgusting homosexual garbage that's a senator in South Carolina. That animal told us the other day that right now, white degenerates have expanded themselves. It's called Israel. And now, right now, all the wars are planned in U.S. But in the future, it's going to be planned in Israel because that's the extension of white supremacy, Europeans, descended people, right? That's going to be the next hop, right? So right now, that's why they want to get rid of Iran because the whole region is about to be white folk the way they want it. You know, that's it. Because for us, Arab people, black people, we irrelevant. We not even people, right? We not. Europeans, these pale-skinned and inbred animals are the humans. We just, I think that's like a trash. They need to dispose us whenever they're ready, right? That's the thing. It's a serious matter. It's a serious matter. I mean, these people have merciless. They have no mercy. Listen to Marco Rubio's speech he gave in Munich's Security Conference. Listen to him. He's a white guy. He look good. I'm sure he has a husband. He has a husband and wife. He a conservative. Listen what that man say. All right, and you tell me, a black person, a brown person, how you feel. How that make you feel as a human being? Do you feel like a complete human when you hear that degenerate? Mind you, he's the second most powerful person in U.S. after Trump, right? Right now, he's the most. Now if Trump goes away, that'll go my J.D. Vance. But J.D. Vance does not have more power than Marco Rubio because Marco Rubio is the Secretary of State. He represents U.S. for the whole globe. Okay, he's the second most powerful. This is what this animal say. All right, and you tell me. But let's finish up. Then what if from all this we concluded that U.S. foreign policy is neither timid as the conservatives say, nor foolish as the liberals say, but it is remarkably successful in rolling back just about all governments and social movements that attempt to serve popular needs rather than the private corporate greed. Such analysis, hardly sketched here, would make some effort to lay it out and will amount to a Marxist critique, a correct critique of capitalist imperialism. Though Marxism are not the only ones that might arrive at it, it almost certainly would not be published anywhere except in a Marxist publication. We crossed too many lines because we tried to explain the particular situation, child labor, in terms of in terms of a greater set of social relation corporate class power, or presentation would be rejected out of hand as quote unquote ideological. The perceptual taboos imposed by the dominant power teach people to avoid thinking critically about such powers. In contrast, Marxists get us into the habit of asking why, of seeing the linkage between political events and class power. A common method of devaluing Marxism is to misrepresent what it actually says and then attack the misrepresentation. This happens easily enough since most of the anti-Marxist critics and their audiences have only a passing familiarity with Marxist literature and rely instead on their own caricature notion. Thus, the Roman Catholic pastoral letters on Marxist communism reject the claim that, quote, a structural reclass resolution can sadly cure a disease that in man himself, close quote, nor can it provide, quote, the solution that is man, the solution of all human suffering, close quote. But who makes such a claim? There is no denying that revolution does not entirely cure all human suffering. But why is that assertion used as a refutation of Marxists? Most Marxists are neither chiliatic nor utopian. They dream not of perfect society, but a better, more just life. They make no claim to eliminating all suffering and recognize that even the best of societies, they are the inevitable assaults on misfortune, mortality, and other vulnerabilities of life. Exactly, that is such a fucking stupid shit. But we know human condition, but that does not tell you for you to commit genocide. Let's put it that way. Are you kidding me? As if we don't know. Life is life, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about you intentionally immiserating life here, right? You are immiserating life, and we don't want it because that's what capital does. It immiserate life. But let's keep going. And certainly in any society, there are some people who, for whatever reasons, are given to the wrong deeds and self-serving corruption. The highly imperfect nature of humans beings should make us all more determined not to see power and wealth accumulating in the hands of an accountable few, which is the central dedication of capitalism. Exactly. What happened here is people just think that those people, those few, they're perfect, and they're not even like, oh, because we stupid. And if you look, I think Peter Thiel, she does think he's disgusted by the rest of us because he's a billionaire, and he just feel like, oh, no, we the rich, we know what to do, right? Like he truly thinks like, that's it. They're the one who know what, because they're highly intelligent. And actually, I don't even know if they're highly intelligent. That's Bill tell us that, but I never seen the IQ of these fucking people. I don't think are highly intelligent. I just think that they're good marketers, like Donald Trump. I really don't think intelligence. Very intelligent people don't make it to that class. They just don't. You got to be criminal to wind up in that class. But let's keep going. Capitalism and various institutions affect the most personal dimension of every life in ways not really evident. A Marxist approach helps us to see connection to which we were previously blind, to relate effects to causes, and to replace the arbitrary and the mysterious with the regular and the necessary. A Marxist perspective helps us to see injustice as roots and systemic causes that go beyond individual choice, and to view crucial development not as neutral happenings but as the intended consequences of class power and interest. Marxism also show how e- even unintended consequences can be utilized by those with superior resources to serve their interests. Is Mars still relevant today? Only if you want to know why the media distort the news in mostly mainstream direction, why more and more people at home and abroad face economic adversity, why money continue to accumulate in the hands of relative few, why there is no such private wealth and public poverty in the countries and elsewhere, why U.S. forces find it necessary to intervene in so many regions of the world, why a rich, productive economy offers chronic recession, unemployment, and neglect of social needs, and why many political office holders are unwilling or unable to serve the public interest. Some Marxist theories have to ascend into the numbing attitude of the abstract con- cogitation that they seldom touch political realities here on earth. Yes, they spend their time talking to each other, and self-referential goal is calorie ritual. Dog, what is it, dog described as, quote, how many Marxists can dance on the head of the surplus value, close quote. Fortunately, there are others who do not only tell us about Marxist theory, but demonstrate its utility by applying it to political actualities. They know how to draw connections between immediate experience and the law and the larger structural forces that shape that experiences. They cross the forbidden line and talk about the class power. This is why, for all the misrepresentation and suppression, Marxist scholarship survives. While not having all the answer, it does have a superior explanation power, telling us sometimes about the reality that bourgeoisie scholarship refused to do. Marxism offers the kind of subversive truths that cause fears and trembling among the high and mighty, those who live atop a mountain lies. And that's what we'll leave it tomorrow. We'll pick up a new chapter. That's chapter 9. Anything but class, avoiding the C word. Okay? Alright, so now let's end our show with some dancing. What are we gonna hear today? What can we hear today? Alright, so let's hear revolution. What's it? I don't know what's missing. Oh my goodness. What can we hear today? I'm so confused. Oh goodness. Oh, I think okay, just give me a second here. Let me see what we can do here. I think that. Oh wait, let me see. Okay. Okay. Anyway, let's finish it with Kamasi Washington. Okay, prologue. Let's listen to her.
How to make everyone happy on Airbnb. Book a home with space for everyone, like this one. Then book a farm tour with a